After discovering my wife's betrayal twice, and that neither child was mine by blood, I knew silence was no longer an option. I chose to expose the truth and fight to the end for the boy who may not share my DNA, but will always be my son.
My name is Ethan. I'm 30 years old, living in a quiet small town in Montana, where winter blankets rooftops in white, and summer hums with the scent of hay. I work as a mechanical engineer for a logging company, a steady job with enough income to live comfortably and save. Most importantly, I've always believed I'm the kind of man who knows what matters in life: family, honesty, and trust. Then she came along. Her name was Amanda, a woman with deep green eyes, a smile that could melt anyone, and a voice as soft as wind over autumn fields. We met at a small cafe near my workshop. Amanda, a kindergarten teacher new to town, was independent, smart, and effortlessly kind. From that first meeting, I knew I was done for. Our love wasn't rushed, but it was deep. Starlit picnics, quiet mornings sipping coffee, our eyes meeting in wordless understanding. A year later, I proposed. A modest ring, not lavish, but I chose each stone with care. She cried when she said yes. I believed my life would forever include a true partner. We married that fall. A small outdoor wedding with close family and friends. Amanda wore a white lace dress, walking toward me like a childhood dream come to life. After a honeymoon on the Oregon coast, we settled into the cozy house I'd bought, a home warmed by her beloved lavender in the backyard. Then came joyful news. Amanda told me she was pregnant. Words can't capture my happiness. We hadn't planned for a child yet, but I held her tight, grateful for the miracle. We began preparing a nursery. I built a wooden crib by hand. Amanda painted walls with bears, stars, and forests. She glowed, breathtakingly beautiful as her belly grew. But small things started to nag at me. First, her solo prenatal visits, claiming I was busy when I hadn't said so. Then, her sudden tension whenever I mentioned genetic testing, routine due to my family's medical history. I brushed it off. I told myself pregnant women are sensitive, prone to worry. I didn't want to doubt her, let alone hurt the wife carrying our first child. Until I got the DNA test results. Not by intent. The hospital required blood tests for both of us to screen for congenital issues. I saw no issue and complied. A week later, the doctor called me privately. The results showed zero chance I was the biological father. I froze. I didn't rage, didn't smash things, didn't scream at Amanda. I just went home, saw her folding tiny baby clothes on the bed, and asked, "Is there something you want to tell me?" She looked up. When I held up the test results, her eyes went dark. "Ethan," her voice broke. "I'm sorry." I sat down, drained of strength. "Whose?" I asked. "An old flame. Before we were official, I had one last time with him. I didn't know I was pregnant. I thought, it was yours." I stared at her for a long time. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to yell, to leave, to throw out everything she'd touched. But another part thought of the baby. An innocent life about to be born. Finally, I said, "I'll raise this child. Not for you, but for them." Amanda buried her face and sobbed. I didn't hold her. I couldn't. We stayed together. But from that moment, a crack formed in my heart. I thought I could move past it, that love was enough to forgive. I was wrong. That winter, Montana felt colder than usual. Snow buried the porch, hiding the small roads into town. But in our little house, the coldest thing wasn't the air outside. It was the invisible distance between me and the wife I'd once loved with all I had. Amanda gave birth to a boy in late February. A healthy, handsome baby with hazel eyes and soft, curly hair. I held him first in the delivery room. His tiny hand gripped my finger instinctively. And though I knew he wasn't mine by blood, my heart ached with emotion. Maybe instinct. Maybe a part of me still wanting to do right. Or maybe I just wasn't cruel enough to reject an innocent child. We named him Nathan. After the birth, Amanda grew quieter. No more hugging me from behind while I cooked breakfast. No more whispering about her preschool stories. I thought it was fatigue or postpartum depression. I tried my best to be a good husband, a devoted father. I woke for nighttime diapers, mixed formula, sang lullabies. I worked days, came home to help Amanda bit by bit. I still tried to smile, tried to believe things would be okay. But our bond didn't heal, it faded faster than I could grasp. One evening, after putting Nathan to sleep, I sat on the porch alone. Amanda stayed inside, but instead of joining me like before, she locked the door, saying she was tired and needed space. I cracked a beer, watching snow fall under dim yellow light. For the first time, I wondered, am I the fool here? She never truly apologized, never tried to make amends, never asked how I felt. She just moved on as if it hadn't happened, as if I owed her silence, acceptance, as if I no longer had the right to hurt. Then months later, Amanda announced she was pregnant again. I froze, not from joy, but because something in me was too broken to feel it. I said nothing, just looked at her and said, "Congratulations." Amanda gave a faint, awkward smile. I saw the flicker in her eyes. A vague fear began to spread in me like an oil spill. This time, I didn't stay silent. I went to the biggest clinic in the area. I told the doctor everything about before, requesting a prenatal paternity test, and the results took my breath away. Chance I was the father of the second child, 0%. I sat in my car for nearly half an hour after getting the results. I couldn't drive, couldn't speak, couldn't think. The first time I forgave, I thought I was noble. The second time, I only felt foolish. That night, I didn't confront Amanda. I tucked Nathan in as usual, stroking his soft curly hair. And in my mind, a plan began to form, quiet, but sharp as a blade. I wouldn't forgive again, but I wouldn't lash out, wouldn't curse, wouldn't stoop to anything crude or low. I would expose the truth before everyone who ever thought I was the fool. Before planning, I quietly visited a lawyer. I asked about my rights to Nathan, though not his biological father. And thanks to a humane quirk in local law, I could seek custody if I proved Amanda unfit mentally and morally. I started gathering evidence. I saved messages from a secret account of hers I'd stumbled upon. I photographed her with another man, the one I believed was the father. Then, I called Amanda's parents to visit that weekend. On a Saturday, as sunlight streamed through the windows, I set up the living room like a small gathering. But on the table, instead of flowers or cake, were 2 sealed envelopes, DNA test results, clearly labeled, signed by the hospital. Amanda sat there, clueless. Her parents smiled, thinking we had big news. Then I turned on my phone, live streaming to my Facebook with over 800 friends and relatives watching. I looked into the camera and said, "Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan. Today, I want to share a bit about the woman I once called my wife." Amanda panicked. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer her. I just opened the first envelope. I stared at the phone screen, the live stream still running. The viewer count climbed, comments pouring in like rain. But in that moment, I only heard my heartbeat. Slow, heavy, keeping me steady as a storm began to brew. Amanda still didn't grasp what was happening. "Ethan, what are you doing?" she whispered, her eyes wild with confusion and fear. Her parents chuckled nervously. Her dad raised an eyebrow. "What's all this seriousness, son-in-law? Aren't you too happy as ever?" I picked up the first envelope, labeled clearly, "Nathan, paternity test results." I set it on the table, flipping the paper open. The sound of it hitting the wood echoed in the tense room. I read aloud, slowly, each word deliberate, sinking into everyone present. Based on analysis of 21 genetic loci, the probability of the tested individual being Nathan's biological father is 0%. Conclusion: not the father. The room seemed to freeze. Amanda's parents blinked, stunned. Her mom stammered, "Nathan, isn't your son?" I nodded. "Correct. I found out over a year ago." Amanda admitted it. She called it a mistake from before we dated. I believed her. I forgave her. For the child. I looked straight into her parents' eyes. But I was wrong. Amanda was pale now, lunging to stop the live stream. I raised a hand to block her. I still on the camera. "Don't. You owe me one moment of truth." I pulled out the second envelope. Labeled, "Fetus, Prenatal Paternity Test." Amanda and her parents seemed to hold their breath. I opened it. The paper rustled again in the room, silent as a midnight church. I read on. Based on DNA analysis from maternal and fetal samples, compared to the husband's sample, the probability of paternity is 0%. Conclusion: not the father. At that, Amanda collapsed to the floor, as if her spine had been yanked out. Her mom screamed, "Amanda, what are you doing?" Her dad stood silent, face red, fist clenched like he was holding back an explosion. I kept my voice steady, though a tempest raged inside. 2 children, by 2 different men, neither mine. And all this time, I lived like a blind man, trusting, loving, betrayed. The first time, I stayed quiet. But the second, "I'll let the world see who you are." Amanda began to sob. She stammered, "Ethan, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." I was confused. I was scared. I didn't look at her. I stared into the lens. This is a lesson for anyone who mistakes kindness for weakness. For those who think a man will stand still while they decide who's worthy. I'm not a backup plan. Comments flooded the live stream. Damn, this is brutal. He stayed silent for a year? That's strength. Amanda, girl, this is beyond forgiveness. Respect to this man for not losing it and just showing receipts. Amanda's dad finally spoke, voice hoarse. Amanda, you betrayed this man's trust twice. Do you realize how bad that is? Amanda wailed, grabbing my arm. I'll start over. I'll fix it. I love you, Ethan. Please, don't leave me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. You love me. I asked. Then what did you do with that love? Get pregnant by another man a second time and hide it, planning to let me raise another child not mine without a word. She didn't answer. I ended the live stream. Looked at her parents again. I've hired a lawyer. The divorce papers are being finalized. I'll raise Nathan. If needed, I'll prove in court I'm a better parent than anyone. I pulled a folder from the drawer, setting it on the table. Here's the prenatal records, texts, photos, enough for anyone to see the whole picture. I turned to Amanda, voice low. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed yourself. Because if you thought I'd stay after you cheated twice, you never knew who I was. I walked out of that house, shutting the door behind me, leaving behind everything I once thought was family. But I knew. I had reclaimed myself. I didn't look back as I left that house. Didn't see Amanda crumple on the floor. Didn't see her parents bow their heads in shame. Didn't see the kitchen where I'd cooked dinners hundreds of times, hoping to save a marriage I thought could be salvaged. I walked away. But my heart didn't. Rationally, I knew I'd done right. But emotionally, I couldn't stop the tears as I drove to the small apartment I'd rented after leaving. Because I'd left Nathan behind. A child not mine, true. But he called me Dad. He ran to hug my legs when I came home. He sat on my shoulders every Sunday park walk. He was the only reason I stayed after the first betrayal. And now, did I even have a claim to fight for him? I called my lawyer the next day. An older man, seasoned, named Carl. I told him everything. No sugarcoating, no omissions. Carl paused, then said, You have a shot. Even if you're not the biological father, if you prove you're the one who's cared for, loved, and bonded most with the boy, the court could grant custody. I began collecting proof. Photos, videos, medical visits with my name, doctor's notes, preschool teacher confirmations. I even had a handwritten letter from Amanda, written after Nathan's birth, thanking me for loving him like your own, even though I know you didn't have to. Each day, I worked, buried myself in legal files, and counted every phone ring, hoping for good news from Carl. I didn't go back to the old house, but I texted Amanda I'd see Nathan whenever she allowed. She didn't reply. Instead, days later, Amanda sent a cold email, stating, Nathan needs a stable environment. I think it's best you let him stay with me and his real father. Real father? I laughed bitterly. What real father? The man who never showed up. Never took Nathan to the doctor. Never stayed up 4 nights straight when the boy had a high fever. Never folded a single paper boat for him. She thought that man deserved to be father? I didn't respond to the email. I moved to the next step, filing a court request for temporary visitation and preparing a custody case. Carl told me, This fight won't be easy, but if you truly love that boy, prove it with actions. Meanwhile, Amanda began rebuilding her image online. Fake photos, happy family, her glowing with a pregnant belly, smiling beside Nathan. Not one included me, as if I'd never existed. But it didn't shake me. I didn't need social media to know I was a good father. I just needed Nathan to know, and I'd fight to the end. 3 weeks later, I was allowed to see Nathan in a supervised visit at the county's social services center. He ran to me the moment he saw me. Daddy. I nearly choked up. I scooped him up, hugged him tight, his hair smelling of baby shampoo, still making me want to cry. Where'd you go so long? He whispered. I held him closer. Daddy had to handle some things. But I missed you so much. Nathan looked at me, eyes wide. Was I good? Very good, I smiled, kissing his forehead, and very brave. The visit lasted an hour, but to me, it was a treasure. As I left, watching him be led away, my heart stung. But I told myself, it's only temporary. I'll bring my boy home. To a home where love doesn't need blood ties. That night, I wrote a statement for the court. No dry legal jargon. Just truth about what I'd done, sacrificed, and why I couldn't let Nathan grow up in a house of lies. At the end, I wrote, I didn't create him, but I've loved him like my own flesh and blood. If that doesn't make me a father, nothing will. I filed for custody in the 4th week since leaving home. While awaiting the first hearing, Carl advised me to stay silent online, ignoring any provocations or slander from Amanda. I agreed, but Amanda didn't. On Facebook, she posted vague statuses. People are only good when they want to be loved. Family is where kids need wholeness, not where someone feeds their ego. I don't need a weak man to be my kid's father. She shared photos with Nathan and another man, burly, bad boy, vibe, tattooed arms, on a motorcycle. Caption, Dad and son, first weekend. Comments split. Some praised her bravery to live true, finding someone better. Others were colder. Pregnant and with a new guy already? Seems off. What about her ex-husband? The one who raised the kid? She should be ashamed, not posting pics like this. Me, I stayed silent. I didn't want to escalate, for one reason. I knew every word now could be used in court, and I wanted to walk into that hearing as a calm father, not a vengeful ex. Carl hired a private investigator, and after 2 weeks, he brought me a file. The man in the photos, Nathan's real dad, had a record of domestic violence and was drowning in debt. He had 2 kids with 2 other women, both stripped of visitation for neglect. For the past 2 months, he'd been living in a truck, no steady job. My hands shook holding the file. Amanda had entrusted our son to a man like that? Soon after, what I feared most happened, but also what I secretly hoped would come quickly. Amanda called me near midnight. First time since the live stream. I almost didn't answer, but instinct told me something was serious. I picked up. Hello. Her voice was sobbing. Ethan. I'm sorry. I stayed silent. He left me, took my card, drained my money, then vanished. I still said nothing. I don't know what to do. Nathan keeps asking for you. He won't sleep. I'm so tired, Ethan. I know I was wrong, but I need you. Her voice broke. Please, see him once. He misses you. I took a deep breath. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Family Services Center. I'll be there. What about me? I didn't answer. The next morning, I arrived on time. Nathan sat on a waiting chair, clutching an old stuffed bear, the one I'd bought for his first birthday. The second he saw me, he bolted over, hugging my legs. Daddy. I knelt down, hugging him, throat tightening. Nathan sat in my lap, whispering. I don't like that guy. He hit Mommy. I was scared. I looked up at Amanda, standing a few yards away, eyes weary, face gaunt. In that moment, I knew this fight wasn't just about keeping a child anymore. It was about saving his life. That day, Carl and I finalized an emergency petition, asking the court to temporarily grant me Nathan's care, citing evidence Amanda failed to protect him and exposed him to a man with a violent past. The court ordered further investigation. During that time, I was allowed to take Nathan to live temporarily at my small apartment. The first night he was back, I mixed formula like before, read stories like before, and he clung to me in sleep, like no days had ever separated us. I stroked his hair, whispering, Daddy won't let anyone hurt you again. The day of the hearing, Montana's sky was cloaked in gray clouds. No snow, no sun, just a taut, silent air, like a stretched string. I walked into court in a gray suit, hair neat, face blank. Beside me was Carl, seasoned as a steel shield, prepping me with every word, every proof, every scrap of paper that could change it all. Amanda was there. She wore a dark dress, hair loosely tied, face carefully made up to look decent and stable. But her eyes betrayed her, restless, afraid. She came alone. Nathan's real father was nowhere. No summons, no statement, no pledge. Gone like he'd never been. I sat down, glancing across, and thought. She didn't lose her son because of me. She threw him away twice. The trial began. The judge, a middle-aged woman, spoke calmly but with piercing eyes. She called both sides to present. Amanda went first. Her lawyer spoke of impulsiveness, postpartum mental strain, efforts to amend, and the sacred right of motherhood. Then Amanda stood, voice trembling. Despite my mistakes, I gave birth to Nathan. He needs his mother. I love my son. I just didn't know how to handle things right then. She turned to me. Ethan's a good man, but we're no longer married. I believe I can provide a healthy environment for Nathan, given a chance. I met her eyes. A chance. What I call that is a pattern of betrayal, lies, and irresponsibility. My turn. Carl opened with a full dossier, prenatal records, screenshot texts, a report on Amanda's ex, and social services confirming she'd left Nathan with a man with a violent record. The courtroom went silent. The judge reviewed each page, frowned, nodded slightly. Then, I stood. I didn't use legal terms, didn't shout, didn't curse Amanda. I just told my story. How I held Nathan the day he was born. How I walked him for hours when he wouldn't stop crying. How I never left his bedside for 3 nights when he was sick in the hospital. Then I pulled out a printout, a Facebook post Amanda made 2 weeks after I left. I don't need a weak man to be my kid's father. I held it up for the court. Your Honor, I said slowly, I may not have created Nathan by blood, but I'm the only one who never abandoned him. This mother didn't just betray our marriage, she endangered her son with a dangerous man. And when caught, she didn't fix it, she chose to publicly shame me online, then locked me out, holding our son like a hostage. I paused, breathing deep. That boy needs a safe home. Stable. With a real father there. Not the one who made him, but the one who stayed. The room was so quiet I could hear the judge's pen tap lightly on her desk. Then she said, We'll recess for 30 minutes before the final ruling. I left the courtroom, sat in the hall, hands gripping my knees, heart pounding like it wanted to burst. I wasn't afraid of losing. I was afraid of losing him. 30 minutes felt like 30 years. Then we were called back. The judge looked at both sides, flipped through the file, read the verdict. Based on evidence, testimony, and the child's best interest, the court awards full custody to Mr. Ethan Miller. Mrs. Amanda will have supervised visitation. I froze for a moment, like I couldn't believe what I'd heard. Carl patted my shoulder. You did it. Amanda sobbed, head bowed low. She didn't speak, didn't beg, didn't fight, just sat there like an empty shell finally drained dry. I didn't feel triumph. I felt relief. And then, I thought of Nathan. Let's go home, son. I brought Nathan back to our little apartment one early autumn afternoon. The first golden leaves were falling, a dry breeze rustled, and the sun dipped low on the empty road. Nathan sat in the back seat, clutching his stuffed bear, staring out the window like he'd left another world behind. Hungry? I asked, eyes on the road. I want pizza, he said softly. I chuckled. Pizza it is. But veggies are still on the menu. It was the first time in months I felt myself smile naturally. That night, we sat on the living room floor, eating pizza, watching cartoons, and building puzzles. No loud TV, no social media, no drama. Just a father, a son, and a quiet evening. Nathan fell asleep on my lap, and I sat gazing at his soft curly hair, my heart still as a lake after a great rain. I'd lost everything, but because of it, I'd found what mattered most, the true meaning of being a father. A week later, I enrolled Nathan in a new preschool, near the apartment, with special classes to help kids stabilize after family upheaval. And there, I met her. Her name was Lena. Lena taught pre-first grade, about 28, with long brown hair and eyes both resolute and warm in a rare way. She wasn't a flashy beauty, but something about Lena put me at ease. The first morning, as I led Nathan to class, Lena knelt down, smiling gently. Hi, Nathan. I'm Miss Lena. Today we're making paper castles, okay? Nathan nodded, a bit shy. I turned to leave when Lena softly asked, Are you his biological dad or guardian? I looked at her, unflinching. Not biological, but the only one who never left him. Lena nodded. No judgment, no prying, just a quiet reply. That's enough. For a child, real love is what counts most. I don't know why, but those words hit me deeper than any comfort I'd ever gotten. After that, I saw Lena often when dropping off or picking up Nathan. We started chatting first about kids, then books, then music, then things still unhealed. I shared a bit about my past. Not details, not bad-mouthing anyone. Just truth, painful, but needing to be said to know I'd survived. Lena listened silently. Then she shared she'd once been engaged, but called it off after finding her fiancé two-faced. Since then, she'd stopped looking for love. We were both broken people. But because of it, standing beside each other felt light. No expectations. No awkwardness. No need to act tough. One day, after picking up Nathan, Lena grinned. Guess what Nathan drew today? A castle. Nope. A house with a tree out front. And 2 people. one in a suit, one with glasses. He said, "This is Daddy, and this is Miss Lena. She teaches me to draw flowers." I laughed, a bit embarrassed. "Hope he got my hairline right." She smiled softly. "Kids sometimes see clearer than adults, even in crayon." I don't know the exact moment my feelings stirred. Maybe when Lena tied Nathan's shoe like a gentle mother. Maybe when she waited in the rain to hand me Nathan's forgotten lunchbox. Or when she gave me a handkerchief, saying, "You're allowed to be weak, but you've never been small." One Saturday night, I asked Lena to dinner, my first date since the divorce. We sat in a small diner outside town. No candles, no flowers. Just a simple meal, soft music, and quiet glances. At the end, I drove her home. At her doorstep, Lena looked at me long. "I won't promise to erase your past, but I'd like to walk with you if you want a new chapter." I looked at her, then held her hand gently. "We won't start with promises, but with kindness." I thought, after all, life might let me live in peace. After the trial, I stopped caring about social media, didn't revisit the past, didn't mention Amanda. I focused on Nathan, work, and the budding bond with Lena. We didn't rush. I knew I needed time, and Lena understood. She didn't barge into our father-son life, just showed up when needed, quiet and kind. Nathan adored her. He started calling Lena the teacher outside class, then Arlena. It felt good, like a missing piece slowly fitting in. And then Amanda returned. One Friday afternoon, picking Nathan up from school, Lena walked out with him, face slightly tense. "Someone's waiting for you in the parking lot," she said softly. I frowned. "It's Amanda." My heart sank. Nathan whispered, "Daddy, is Mommy here?" I nodded, unable to say more. I led him to the car, and sure enough, Amanda stood there, holding a cloth bag, face thinner than before, hair cropped short, eyes no longer sparkling like they used to. "Hi, Ethan," she spoke first, voice lacking its old confidence. I shielded Nathan behind me, tone low. "What are you doing here?" Amanda looked at Nathan, eyes welling. "I just wanted to see him a bit." Nathan clung behind me, hesitant. He hadn't forgotten the times his mother vanished, or the days forced to live with the violent man. "I don't want to," he said quietly, eyes down. Amanda froze. I rested a hand on his shoulder. "Go to the car, buddy. I'll be right there." Nathan nodded, hurrying in, shutting the door. I faced Amanda. "What are you really here for, Amanda?" She bit her lip. "I'm in therapy. Quit my old job, studying again. Got a new job at a counseling center. I waited for the word I knew was coming. To ask the court to reconsider Nathan's custody. I smiled, faint but sharp. "You left him with a man with a violence record. Abandoned him to me alone. Called me a weak man on social media. You think a few months of starting over makes up for that?" "I know I was wrong," she said softly. "But I'm his mother." "No," I snapped. "You gave birth to him. Being a mother is something else." Amanda didn't cry. Maybe she had no tears left, but her voice shook. "I don't want to fight. I just want a chance. I miss him." I looked at her long. "A chance?" "He gave you 2 chances. You threw both away. He's fine now. Happy. Don't ruin that just to ease your guilt." Amanda fell silent. I walked to the car, but before opening the door, I turned back. "If you file, I'll fight to the end. Not out of hate, but because I won't let anyone hurt him a third time." That night, as Nathan slept, I sat on the apartment balcony. Lena brought out 2 hot teas. I told her everything. She wasn't shocked. She just placed her hand on mine. "You're not alone, Ethan." I looked at her. My eyes blurred. "I'm scared one day he'll ask, 'Dad, why isn't Mommy here?' And I won't know what to say." Lena squeezed my hand. "When he asks, tell him the truth. That his mom lost her way, but his dad never did." A week later, I got court notice. Amanda had officially filed to revisit Nathan's visitation and custody. I nodded, unsurprised. I met Carl. This time, I didn't just want to keep custody. I wanted to legally adopt him. Nathan might not carry my blood, but he was my son in every way my heart understood. The adoption filing went out Monday, alongside a response opposing Amanda's new custody request. Carl told me, "This is rare in this county, but you have a shot, a real one. The court will look at the child's best interest. And you, Ethan, you've lived that every day." I nodded, silent. I'd prepared everything, but nothing calmed me fully as I faced the second trial. The courtroom was the same, but this time, no fear. I wore a simple shirt, clutching my files. Nathan wasn't there, my request. He didn't need to see another fight over him. Amanda arrived 5 minutes late. She wore a gray sweater, hair shorter than before, no longer posing as the ideal mother. She glanced at me, then looked down. This time, the hearing was shorter. The judge, same one, looked at us like she knew us too well. Once husband and wife, now two worlds utterly opposed. I went first. Carl cited the file, evidence, my time raising Nathan, and crucially, a recording of our parking lot talk, where Amanda admitted, leaving him to you alone. The tape silenced the room. Then I was called for final words. I stood, hands steady, eyes on the judge. I didn't create Nathan. I know that. But I've seen every sleep, every fever, every first smile, every first step. I'm the one he calls dad. I don't need DNA to be his father. I just need the courage to never abandon him like everyone else. And Amanda? She was a mother. But she chose another man over her son. She left him when he needed her most. And now, when my son is at peace, she returns, not to build, but to take. I won't allow it. I sat back, heart pounding. Amanda was called. She stood long, then spoke. Ethan is right. The room stirred. I made mistakes. Not one, but two, maybe three, if I push this further today. She paused, voice breaking. I thought being a mother meant I had a right to him. But now I see, motherhood isn't just giving birth. It's daring to stay. She faced the judge. I withdraw my petition. I don't want to fight for custody. Carl glanced at me. I surprised. I just watched Amanda, no hatred, no blame, just the gaze of someone too tired to hate anymore. Amanda continued. But I ask one thing. If Nathan asks, please let me be a small part of his memory. I don't deserve to be his full mother, but I still love him. The judge noted, looked at us, nodded. The court grants Mr. Ethan Miller's petition for legal adoption of Nathan. As of today, by law, you're his father. I closed my eyes. No tears. Just weightless. A month later, Lena and I threw a small party in the backyard. Nathan ran around, clutching a balloon reading. My dad, Ethan, officially and forever. Friends came to celebrate. People hugged me, patted my shoulder, said, you did it. Amanda wasn't there, but I'd sent her a letter short, not heavy, just a few lines. Thank you for stepping back in time. Whatever happened, I believe our son, now my son, will grow better in truth, not illusion. I hope you find peace. She didn't reply. I didn't need her to. Because today, I sat in the grass, holding the son I chose to love. And beside me, Lena took my hand, her eyes gentle, honest, asking nothing but presence. Nathan looked up, asking, Daddy, if I get a wife someday, will you come? I laughed. I'll bring your mom along. He blinked. You have a wife already? I glanced at Lena, then Nathan, smiling. I'm thinking about it. A year after the final trial, I woke in our new home, a house with a sunlit porch, an apple tree in the yard, and children's laughter every Saturday morning. Nathan's 6 now. His voice is firmer, he runs faster, and when he falls, he doesn't wail like before. He stands, brushes his knees, and calls, Dad, I'm fine. Each time, I look at Lena, now my wife, and we just smile. No words needed. We know, he's growing up in the home he deserves. Our wedding was simple, warm. A small ceremony under the yard's tree, with close friends, old co-workers, kind neighbors, and of course, Nathan as honorary ring bearer. He wore a suit, hair slicked, stumbling. I give the wedding rings to Dad and Miss Lena. Everyone laughed. Lena teared up. When the priest asked, Ethan, do you take Lena as your wife, to love and care for her and Nathan for life? I didn't answer right away. I knelt, took Nathan's hand, looked at Lena. I've lost everything once. But because of it, I learned what's real, who stays, and what family I need to protect. I do. The crowd cheered. Lena choked out. I do too. After, we moved to a smaller town, better schools for Nathan, wide parks, and a friendly community. I work part-time as an engineer for a local firm, while Lena teaches at the nearby elementary school. Life isn't glamorous, but it's real. Each night, we eat together. Lena talks about her class. I share about a machine I fixed. Nathan says his desk mate got dumped by his girlfriend. I don't want to get dumped, Dad. Then pick the right one, kiddo. I chuckle. Like you picked Mom Lena? I nod. Exactly. Does Amanda reach out? Yes. Rarely. She sent Nathan a letter once, through the lawyer. I read it first, deemed it okay, gave it to him. Nathan read it, folded it, left it on his shelf. He didn't ask more. I don't forbid him from remembering his birth mom, but I don't let him grow up in delusion. I teach him honesty through what I've lived. Once, Nathan asked, "Do you hate Mom?" I answered, "No, because if I hated her, I wouldn't have you. And if I didn't have you, I wouldn't know how strong I really am." He nodded, hugged me. "I love you, Dad." I held him tight. "I love you more than this whole life." Nathan's 6th birthday, he sat in the backyard, balloons and cake around. Friends ran wild. Lena wrapped gifts in the kitchen. I stood at the door, watching, gratitude flooding me. I'd crumbled once. Been betrayed. Thought I was a failure for not being enough to keep a woman. But now I know. I didn't fail. I was just walking a truer path than most. I didn't keep the wrong person, but I built the right life. Nathan, Lena, and I, 3 battered pieces, once broken, now a family. Not perfect, but enough love to mend every crack.